Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda.
I am the sword in the darkness.
And you're listening to Girls Nerd Out.
I am the watcher on the walls.
And now our rewatch has begun.
Jaehaerys.
Hey everyone, it's me, Amanda, and my best friend, Andrea.
Hey.
And we are currently in between season 2 and 3. So we wanted to do a Song of Ice and Fire, what's going on update. So I figure we'll go ahead and start with the one that's probably debated and argued about the most, which is House of the Dragon season 3.
Yeah.
Andrea, what are some of the things that you've seen people online either excited about or upset about or just completely ridiculous about?
Well, the main thing people are really talking about right now is because it was announced not too long ago that Rhaenyra is going to be having which we already know because in season 2 she did pick up a sword.
Rhaenyra having a sword.
Oh, there's more to it than that. It's not just her holding a sword and having a sword. But yeah, that people don't think that she even had a sword, but it doesn't specifically say in Fire and Blood that I've read several times that she never had one. It doesn't say that she never had one. It just doesn't state if she did. So I believe that she did. There is one part when she comes to King's Landing and takes over King's Landing, heads roll when she gets there. So I specifically think that she definitely had a sword, because why would they say when Rhaenyra hit King's Landing, heads rolled?
And the artwork.
And the artwork. Yeah, George approved an artwork of Rhaenyra holding a sword on the throne, a bloody sword, and there's some scratches on her hand, and it matches. It symbolizes with Daemon with his sword in the same, because they both have pictures in the book, and it's like if George approves of her sitting on a throne with a sword, then she had a sword.
Yes, 100%. That artwork is approved by George. It shows Rhaenyra on the throne with a bloody sword. And you can't argue that. You can't. There's just no way. And I don't know why people are, but okay. I brought it up enough, but we have season 8 of Game of Thrones with Daenerys. When she's on the ground, she's fighting in a winter coat with no armor, and she has a quote unquote dragon glass sword, which I don't consider that even a sword because it's ignorant, because it would just shatter. So I don't even know why that was a thing. And Andrea, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you think there is any way Daenerys Targaryen would be in war without a Valyrian steel sword?
No.
Okay. Just asking, because it's just insane to me to think that she would be fighting in the long night and not have a sword, and it specifically should be Valyrian steel. She is the rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and Valyrian steel in the show killed a White Walker. Jon did with Longclaw. So I'm sorry, somebody would have something. Actually, do you know what I think should have happened?
What?
Jaime should have talked to Daenerys and explained what happened with her father. Tried to explain that he killed the Mad King because the Mad King was about to kill a lot of people, and Jaime could have given Daenerys his sword. But, we can't have nice things, so...
No, unfortunately.
Because they didn't want to humanize Daenerys, and that would have humanized her. And also, they decided to make Jaime not care about the small folk, so... But that could have been a really great scene, and it could have given some background about Aerys, because that's why Jaime's the Kingslayer. But no, we can't have nice things.
Exactly. And the other thing with Rhaenyra holding a sword, they also announced that she might, it didn't say 100%, might behead Gawain Hightower, and people are up in an uproar because it's a main character. I don't really consider Gawain Hightower a main character
I
in
don't.
show, in book,
Why do they care if she kills him?
because she never kills anybody in the book according to people, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't see what the because I've had people say, well, if I want Aegon, I mean, if that's like Aegon killing people and he doesn't do that, and I'm like, yeah, well, they've already showed him kill somebody in the show, so nobody was an uproar for that. Nobody was.
Nope.
And Gawain Hightower is Alicent Hightower's brother, if nobody knows. He is insignificant in the book. Some people say he had more of an important role. I don't know why they're giving him a more important role in the show, but it is what it is. He is still a usurper, or not a usurper. He is a traitor because he supported the usurping. Like, he's cool with it. In the book, all he was supposed to do was keep an eye on somebody in the gold cloaks because they were great. They love Daemon. They think that he is like, because Daemon created the gold cloaks. I mean, he didn't really create them, but like, he gave them what they are today, you know.
Yep.
And Gawain Hightower is just supposed to watch somebody that they think was a spy for Rhaenyra, but he still gets killed. So Rhaenyra killing him is not that big of a deal, since they, one, don't have that character in the show that kills him, and two, whoever passes the sentence should use a sword.
I agree. And she's married to Daemon Targaryen. Like, I'm sorry, but Daemon's not going to be married to somebody that isn't going to be the type of person that does what needs to happen. Like, she does what she needs to do, and people don't seem to understand. By the time she gets on that throne, how many kids has she lost?
2.
It's just, do they not understand that? I mean, she's being like systematically attacked like over and over again, and she's just feeling loss over and over again. I guess not.
It's just not, like you said, she's Daemon's wife. Daemon is a warrior. So to say that her having a sword doesn't make any sense, or killing Gawain Hightower doesn't make any sense, is weird, because it's not like people are out here acting like she's gonna go fight in a battle with a sword. We're not saying that at all. I personally think her doing some of the beheadings is fine. Like, it's not like you need a certain skill to swing a sword.
No, I don't understand why people are mad she has a sword. I kind of thought we were at a place that was going to be happy that, a Targaryen female would get a sword, but I guess not. Wow. Okay.
Well, a lot of people say that she's trying too hard to be Visenya Targaryen, and I'm like, no. Okay, so she's got her hair styled like Visenya. She named her daughter after Visenya. She looked up research about Visenya and Vhagar. Like, how can you say this woman, like, her having a sword does make perfect sense. She admires Visenya. She loves Visenya because Visenya was a Targaryen queen with a sword.
Yeah, she was. With a very famous sword.
Yeah, and I don't think that means that she's that she's going to be a girl boss or something. Look, Rhaenyra Targaryen, I don't think she's a girl boss at all, but she just had her life almost taken in season 2 by a former Kingsguard of her dad's.
Yep.
So
true.
I'm sorry, I would have a sword too, or some kind of weapon to protect myself.
I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, she had an assassin sent, and they got in her bedroom. It wasn't like, they were caught outside or anything, which that's bad enough.
You stand before the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms!
Daeron is Alicent Hightower's forgotten son. We haven't seen him. We saw his dragon for like 2 seconds. But what are they doing with his storyline you told me about?
They're making it seem like he's insignificant. They're not going to give him much of a storyline at all, I guess, according to one of the writers for the show. And they're going to give more of a character to his or what is he? Is he an uncle? Otto Hightower's brother. His name is Orem Hightower, I believe. And Orem Hightower literally doesn't do anything. He brings his army through he leaves Old Town and they go to Bitterbridge, and there's one thing that happens there, but that's not going to happen in the show because the child that dies there is one of Aegon Targaryen's sons, and he's not in the show.
Ormond Hightower was the head of House Hightower during the Dance of the Dragons. Ormond and Daemon led the sack of Bitterbridge, however, as Daemon's nephew, Prince Maelor Targaryen, had been killed in that town.
So I don't think we're going to see Bitterbridge happen, but they clean up the mess at Bitterbridge. Then they go to Tumbleton. We're not going to see, they're building a Tumbleton. I don't know if we're going to see both battles at Tumbleton, but Tumbleton is not very far from Bitterbridge. And and we'll see Daemon probably fight, but he's supposed to be ahead of everything. He's supposed to make all the decisions, not Ormond. So I don't understand why they're giving Ormond more screen time than Daemon, who is a Targaryen prince and he has a dragon.
During the First Battle of Tumbleton, Lord Ormond's archers and heavy horse defeated the 6,000 blacks of Sir Garibald Grey. After losing their general at First Tumbleton, Lord Ormond's host was divided and without direction. Sir Hobart Hightower, Ormond's cousin, ineffectually claimed command. The army finally dissolved following the Second Battle of Tumbleton.
I told you the only thing I could possibly come up with is that Ryan Condal and Sarah Hess are trying to make their own Tywin. That's my best guess. That's all I got.
Probably. It's just I wish they would have mentioned him in season 1 because we don't see him until Bitterbridge in the book anyway. But and then we really see him in Tumbleton. See, this book is very this part of the book is very small. It's a 2-year war and there's a lot of characters. I understand that, but Daemon Targaryen is significant.
Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen, first of her name. Queen of the Andals and Rhoynar and the First Men.
We obviously don't care if you're show only or read some books or whatever. We're fine with that. So we try to explain the best we can, just in case you don't know. So, A Song of Ice and Fire, those are the books that Game of Thrones was based on. Fire and Blood is the Targaryen history book that House of the Dragon is taken from. That is The Dance, which is the Targaryen Civil War. It's only a portion of Fire and Blood. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's only one story in Fire and Blood. There's a lot more, and Andrea's read it I don't know how many times. So it's correct what she's saying. A lot of things that are going to happen in House of the Dragon, the source material is pretty thin. There's not a whole lot, and that can be good and it can be bad. We've kind of seen both.
Our terms are simple, Lord Bracken. Renounce the false King Aegon as a usurper. Bend the knee to me. Or your house burns.
Daemon's story arc, that's a controversial thing because a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it. I didn't hate it. I loved it. I did not hate it. Matt Smith took it and went with it, and he did a great job. The only problem I have with it is I don't necessarily, because they made it seem like he wanted to take Rhaenyra's army, and that's just not what was going on. But they made it seem like that, and that doesn't happen. I mean, he takes over the Riverlands pretty quickly. The Riverlands are the first people to side with Rhaenyra. So you got the Brackens don't. The Brackens side with the Greens, unfortunately, but the Blackwoods definitely do. But a lot of houses like the Tullys, all of them support Rhaenyra because of Daemon. He just goes there with his dragon and smiles pretty much, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll bend the knee." I mean, it's after the Burning Mill though, so they don't show the Burning Mill in the show. I hate that.
Early in the Dance of the Dragons, the Battle of the Burning Mill was a quick victory for the Blacks, with Prince Daemon Targaryen using Harrenhal as a base of operations and House Blackwood taking Stonehenge from House Bracken.
But after the Battle of the Burning Mill, Daemon comes in and just, takes them all. Like they're all like, yeah, we're gonna bend the knee to the queen. But in the show, they didn't show it that way. So it's like kind of, I mean, it took a long time. But
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree with you. Go ahead.
I just want to say, but I really do enjoy Damon's story arc. He learned a lot from that. Now he's going to be a different man completely, I think. I mean, he'll still be the rogue prince. He'll still be like, you know, cocky as hell, and that's fine because Daemon can be cocky as hell. But I don't like that they added the vision because that's just going to ruin future times for like Rhaenyra's death is probably just going to be because I think she's pregnant. I think she's going to be pregnant before she dies.
Well, I'll say this. Now, we're talking about things that happen in Fire and Blood. I don't consider anything we talk about a spoiler because the book's been out forever. And also, the show greatly deviates from the book. So anything we talk about could happen, could not happen, could kind of happen. But what Andrea is mostly referring to is a very big deal that I don't think is discussed enough. You have Daemon at Harrenhal assembling an army, and they decided to make it in the show seem like Daemon was going to take that army for himself and go after the throne. And that was very upsetting to Andrea. That is implied heavily. And so when Rhaenyra shows up on Cyrax at Harrenhal and Daemon bends the knee, it's meant for us to think, okay, well, he's back supporting Rhaenyra because of the visions and things like that. And that's what Andrea has a problem with. A big problem is the assumption. I was just going to say, it's just the assumption he was going to take that army.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people say, like Daemon is just a lot of haters of Daemon say he's not money hungry, but he's jealous of Rhaenyra for being the heir. He's jealous of the fact that, you know, she gets to be queen and she gets to sit the Iron Throne and he doesn't. And they act like that's all he's ever wanted. And I'm like, did you not pay attention to the scenes with his brother? He just always wanted to be loved. He was always loyal to his family. And it hurt Rhaenyra. So like the fight that Rhaenyra and Daemon have, we've already discussed that, but like it's a fight about how nobody, like I can't trust you because I don't believe that you're really here for the good intentions. And my father didn't trust you. And that's just sad. Daemon doesn't want to steal the throne.
It's a story of a broken family that you see so many times that it could have been avoided. And that's the tragedy. It's a cautionary tale, you know, because we see, like, I've said it multiple times. It goes back to Viserys and Daemon. Viserys is insecure about Daemon because, you know, Daemon has Caraxes, Daemon's a warrior. Everybody's like, oh, it's Daemon Targaryen, you don't mess with him. And Daemon feels neglected and rejected by his brother, and that's his pain. Now, the ironic thing is that both of them are good at different things. They would complement each other incredibly well, which is why Andrea and I always say, if Daemon was made Hand of the King, it would have been fine. And that's just our opinion, because they're good at different things. Like, I think Viserys was a good king. You don't hear about the realm going in debt. The small folk seem to be fine. And then you have Daemon, who, if there is a challenge, like the Stepstones and things like that, he has absolutely no problem going out there and fighting for what needs to be done. He will clean up, you know, like Flea Bottom with the gold cloaks. You know, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. And you need that. You really do. And Viserys is not that type. But he's incredibly smart, and I think Viserys had a lot of empathy. So you can either look at that as oil and water, or they could have complemented each other incredibly well. So
that's why I parallel them to Stannis and Robert sometimes, because Robert, I feel like Stannis should have been his king or Hand of the King, because I feel like he would have done really well if he had him as his hand.
yeah.
Now I'm not saying that Stannis and Daemon are the same, because Stannis, I mean, he claims he has no love for his brothers, but I still feel like if he was Hand of the King, it would have been really good for Robert.
Yeah, the only difference is Viserys would have continued acting as king. Robert would have just given Stannis everything and would have just been off with Bessie. So there's
Same with
that.
if he had Tywin as his hand of the king as well.
Yep, that is
Um,
true.
because Tywin, like I just watched the first episode of season 3, for next week, and Tywin is already like working hard as a hand right away. So it's like he because Tyrion asks him if which I'll mention next week when we do our recording. Tyrion even says like wow, look at you, like you're already working really hard and like it suits you. They're like, do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy being hand? And he laughs. He's like, do I enjoy being hand?
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. There's a hell of a lot of history.
But the thing is, like most hands will have good kings, but not all the time. Like Aerys Targaryen had to go through so many hands because they either didn't want to do it or it's a lot of work because it's like they're taking care of the Seven Kingdoms over him, and like Robert's hands. I mean, I'm sure I would like to see him and Jon Arryn, but I don't think we're ever going to see that. But like with Ned had to do a lot of stuff. So
That's true.
Follow your favorite podcasters on all social media at Southern Mother of Dragons and at the Princess of Dragonstone.
Well, I want to ask you something
yeah,
that goes along with this. It's like basically comes, well, probably, I guess, season 4. Again, you can think this is a spoiler. I really don't. The book's been out how long? But
several years.
yes. So, what do you think about the people who are they're emphatic, nothing can change their mind. They reference the scene with Aemon and Daemon at the God's Eye. And I'm not going to get the quote perfect, but it's, Aemon saying, "You've lived too long, uncle." And Daemon says, "On that we agree." There are people that say Daemon he's suicidal at that point and he wants to die. And I have seen that. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think he's suicidal. I think he's just, I don't know why he said that, to be honest. I don't really get why he said that. But like, I think actually he means it's been too long for him to actually do something about Aemond. Maybe that's what he meant. He is tired. I mean,
It's a war.
it's war and there's a lot of things happening and he doesn't know the fate of any of his children or how his wife is probably because well, I mean I would hope that she would send him ravens quite often. but
Yeah.
but
I think the people that say he's suicidal are the ones that want to say he did not kill Aemon for Rhaenyra.
oh yeah, nope, I'm sorry, he definitely killed her. You can hate Damon all you want, you can hate Rhaenyra all you want, that man died for her because I like to compare it to Jon Snow. Jon Snow killed Daenerys to save everyone and Daemon killed one person to save everybody. I mean, not everybody, sorry, save Rhaenyra, protect Rhaenyra. It was only for her.
Daenerys Targaryen attacking King's Landing is a show-only situation created for shock value and is not in the books. It is not a canon event.
You can say that the added benefit of taking out Aemon also protects, his daughters and stuff too. I mean, there's that. Because
Yeah.
if you take out Aemon, you take out, the big giant huge weapon. I mean, that's kind of the big deal. It's Vhagar. I mean, that's why, it keeps going. If Vhagar had been taken out by Melees, it probably would have stopped. Vhagar is a huge issue. I mean, like pun intended and not. I hate that the dragons have to fight, but I have noticed that there's quite a bit of people that seem to want to make Daemon's actions not have anything to do with supporting Rhaenyra. I've noticed that trend. I'm not really sure why, but I have.
Probably because they just don't like show Rhaenyra and they don't think she's worthy of dying for or something. Like, I mean, there's people that don't think she's the rightful heir, and I don't know where they're getting that from because she was chosen by her father. So, the yes, I know traditionally the throne goes to like anything really, not just the throne. Any like major houses, they always pick their firstborn male son. But that's just tradition. I mean, look at Corlys Valerian. He didn't make his son heir to Driftmark. He made his second grandson heir to Driftmark.
That's true.
He didn't choose his brother either. He chose his second born son.
If you're talking about show, you have Cersei assuming the throne with absolutely no reason, and apparently everyone was fine with that.
What do you want? And to serve my queen.
I think it's going to get wild when season 3 drops. I think it's going to get really wild.
So when Rhaenyra, because I believe Rhaenyra is going to take over King's Landing in season 3. When she takes King's Landing, it's going to be a very different feel, I think. Depending, unless Alicent was like acting in the finale, which I don't think she was, because she wore a different color for one thing. She didn't wear green anymore.
Yeah.
So
Finally.
I consider that her like basically just abandoning whatever she tried to do before.
So she's going to take King's Landing, you think, in season 3?
Yeah, I think probably like in the middle or the end. A lot of people say that's too soon, but I think she takes over King's Landing not too long after the Gullet, so I don't see a problem with her going over there. But then not too long after that, it's going to be the God's Eye, so that's unfortunate. But I don't think the God's Eye is happening in season 3. I think it's going to happen in season 4. But her taking the throne is going to probably be different because Alicent is going to let her go over there without a problem. And that's so different from the book because there's riots that happen. She tries to close the gates. And then when Rhaenyra finally gets to her, she says that, like she tries to say, look, you and Aegon could share the realms. Let's split the realm in half. Or let's call the Great Council of 101, the Great Council, and like let's see if they can pick who should rule. And I'm like, no, that's too late for one thing, and two, like for both of those, it's too late. I don't know why she never suggested that before, but because she's just a zealous piece of crap mother, and she thinks that it's okay to like just offer this right now. It's dumb.
Yeah, there's a lot of people really shocked by that, and I'm not sure how that's going to go, to be honest with you. It's a strange choice, but we have noticed they will change the storyline to whatever as long as they can get Rhaenyra and Alicent in the same room, and that's just not how you write. It's just not.
No.
We know for a fact that Sarah Hess does not like Daemon or Rhaenyra. And when you have somebody that is in partial control of a show and just very much dislikes some of the main characters, you get a biased result. And that's what we have. And it's disappointing because, I mean, I'll just go ahead and tell you, Andrea told me Sarah Hess was at a panel or something?
Yeah.
And said that Rhaenyra was being a dick.
Emma was there sitting on the panel. I would have loved to have seen Emma's face to that because Rhaenyra wasn't being a dick. She was just the scene that she particularly talked about was where Rhaenyra like sends her which I always forget, she's a Massey, I think, her servant away. She just said like, not right now. I think it was when she was pacing back and forth. I think that was it. That's not Rhaenyra being a dick. That same handmaiden has done so much already for her, and she loves Rhaenyra. That same handmaiden, when Rhaenyra dies, gouges her own eyes out so she doesn't see what happens.
Yep.
Rhaenyra was very much loved by the people on Dragonstone. So I don't know why Sarah has said that, because she doesn't seem to understand her characters.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it's a tacky thing to say. I'm sorry. Like, there's no reason to say anything like that. I find that just tacky. But
She must have forgotten the finale of season 1 where Rhaenyra gives birth to a stillborn child. And that same maid that she says she was a dick to cried.
it's an odd statement. It's a reach. I'll be honest with you. I feel like she just wanted to say something negative about Rhaenyra. I really do. I don't understand it at all. But, you know, if you want to, you can connect that right back to Dan and Dave and what they did to Daenerys and Jon's characters. You can connect it to that because Dan and Dave, more, their thing was they had favorites that they made sure had good endings rather than, you know, they just hated these certain characters. So it's very obvious, you know, that basically anybody that's on the small council at the end of Game of Thrones, those are their favorites. And whether it made sense or not, they made sure that they were all taken care of. And they were very anti-hero. So you have Daenerys turning into a monster, and you have Jon Snow completely destroyed and miserable going north as an exile. So I think when the showrunners' opinions bleed over too much, I think it's a bad thing. I really do. It warps the story, and I don't agree with it.
You will release every slave in Yunkai. Every man, woman, and child shall be given as much food, clothing, and property as they can carry as payment for their years of servitude.
I do want to mention something really quick because it's very important right now. Basically, all we're talking about right now is when we don't like it when showrunners deviate from the source material. That's because we love the source material very much. George R.R. Martin is an incredible writer. He writes stories that are so layered that you can either take it for face value or you can analyze every sentence, and it's wonderful because it gives us so much to go on. And I would like to give him credit because you have characters that, when he wrote the books, weren't seen in media. You know, like Brienne, who's not like the typical female, and she's a badass. Well, you also have Hodor, which at the time of him writing it, nobody knew anything. But what George actually wrote was someone who gives signs of being on the spectrum. He's verbally limited. He, you know, is developmentally delayed. And like he doesn't understand some social norms and things like that. And I think it's absolutely incredible that George put a character in like that and not only put him in, but made him a huge hero. I think that's beautiful. And I think he should get more credit for it. And that's applicable today because we just had RFK come out today and basically make statements that people on the spectrum, or what would you say, Andrea, worthless, not productive members of society. It was appalling.
Yeah, can't do anything for themselves kind of attitude.
Yeah, it was appalling. And Andrea and I are friends with people on the spectrum. Both of us have people in our family very close to us that are on the spectrum. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I can promise you this. George is disgusted at that when he hears about it. He'll be disgusted.
Yeah, he will.
But I know it personally affected you, and I want you to talk about that for a minute because, I mean, if we have a platform, that's what we're going to use it for things like this.
Yeah, it affects me because my son is on autism. He's on the spectrum, and so for like several years of his life, 2 years exactly of his life, he couldn't speak. He couldn't tell me what he wanted. He just he pointed a lot. But he wouldn't say anything. And most of the stuff that he would say was like I guess you could call gibberish, which he still does sometimes. He's doing a lot better now talking wise, but like he'll like sit there and talk to himself, and I'll listen to him and he'll sound like how he did then. And I love it. I think it's a great part of him. But for like several years, doctors would say there was nothing wrong with him and he wasn't hitting the milestones as every other kid out there. I mean, he still doesn't hit milestones, because which is weird, that he can't do a lot of, and not weird because he can't do anything. It's just interesting that now I'm noticing all these signs and seeing all these signs. And for like the longest time, doctors just kind of threw it out like, no, he's just a boy. He'll grow out of it. There was a doctor here that said the same thing. And I'm like, well, I'm not losing my mind here. Don't make me sound crazy because I know there's something different about him and I just want to know what it is.
Well, and you shouldn't have to fight for a diagnosis when you know something's going on, and that is an unfortunate thing that is very common. But at the same time, you have all these people, you have parents fighting for diagnosis so you can get somewhere and get them what they need. And then you have somebody appointed by a president that has said things that are so incredibly damaging, that has set us back who knows how far, because people will hear him. And unfortunately, there's a group that will believe him. And he said that basically people on the spectrum shouldn't be here. He said that autism is a disease and that basically people with autism are in pain, which is odd. And they won't pay taxes. They won't go on a date. They will never use the bathroom unassisted. It was a disgusting thing to say. And we really wanted to draw attention to that because if, people that are developmentally delayed or on the spectrum or whatever, if they're not important, then why do you have somebody like Hodor? Why? Why do you have so many shows right now that are actually bringing attention to autism in a positive way? I mean, there's even a reality show right now that's like Love on the Spectrum. Like,
oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and they actually mentioned Daenerys in that, which that's the reason I know it exists. But we've been going in a positive way, like we're normalizing autism. There's characters on TV with autism, a reality show, all that. And then something like this happens and it's a literal kick in the nuts.
Isn't Sheldon Cooper on the spectrum too? Yeah.
Yes. There are so many people on the spectrum. Sheldon is like, he's kind of textbook high functioning / Asperger's. And then you have a lot like, also Helena in season 1 especially showed signs that seemed like she was on the spectrum. She covered up her ears and there was like some things that might have been like, stimming and stuff. And we talked about that. And I thought that was incredible because again, there's a lot of people with autism. A lot. And just making it normal, that means kids grow up just knowing what autism is, and that reduces bullying and so much pain. And I feel like we've been working so hard to make people realize this is very common and it's just a thing, and to have people not be afraid of it. And then you have somebody come out like that and make it seem like those people shouldn't be here. And I would say that the person that created the books that we love so much would be completely disgusted by that.
Yeah. I mean,
completely.
To say that like it's an epidemic, that it's gradually happening and rising higher and higher, which is not true. And maybe he's saying that because there was several people back in the day were never diagnosed with it because they didn't know,
Yeah.
But that's still.
They didn't even have a name for it at some point. So obviously, there's going to be better testing and better awareness. But I know that seems a bit off topic, but it's really not when you look at Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, because there are differently abled people in both. And that's something that Andrew and I have both loved about the books and the show is, here's somebody that may not be like everybody else. And oh, by the way, it's fine. It just normalizes it and people see it and it's beneficial.
Let me give you some advice, bastard. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you.
Next Monday, season 3, we're very excited about it. Things are really amping up. Not that they weren't already amped, but I love season 3. I'm very much looking forward to it. 3 and
Animated meme
4.
for it was Tormund and John.
Oh man. I mean, the first was debatable. Some say 4, some say 5, some say 6, but they always say like God's the writing was strong then. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And we will be back to that, like I said, next Monday. So thank you guys so much for listening to us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for those that follow us on social media, people that support the podcast, that listen, that leave us reviews, all of that. We just appreciate you very much.
Yes, thank you.
As always, it's Amanda here to say thank you to all of our listeners and to ask that if you like this week's episode, leave us an honest rating. And if you'd like to continue the discussion, please feel free to comment on our post over at our Girls Nerd Out podcast account on Instagram. If you're interested in buying any of our merch to support the podcast and so that we can continue to release weekly episodes, then check it out over at girlsnerdoutpodcast.com. Our podcast logo was designed by Chairman Bilal over on Fiverr. Our podcast merch was put together by me, myself, and I at Southern Mother of Dragons on all social media. If you're interested in my personal merch, check it out at southernmotherofdragons.com. And the designs for that merch were put together by Ryuchi Studios on Etsy after an in-depth back and forth discussion with me to find the perfect merch for me and my loyal supporters. The music played while I tell you about all the ways you can support us and the production of the podcast is Kawaii Girl by Pumpkin Pie. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda. And you just listened to
Girls Nerd Out.